Hi, I am Steve from Educative, and today I am joined by Tareem, who's going to tell us. So, Tareem, can you tell us a little bit about yourself first?
Yeah, hello everyone. This is Tehreem, and I am a developer advocate at Educative. I develop stand-on projects for developers to enhance their hands-on skill. My areas of expertise are data science, machine learning, and DevOps. And here I am discussing some basics of data science using Python with Steve.
Okay, great. So, can you start us off with like just the basics of what is data science? How do we define it?
Data science, I believe, is the study of huge volumes of data which you analyze using modern tools and technologies to uncover the hidden patterns and to derive information for business decision making. It is a multidisciplinary approach that combines the principles from statistics, mathematics, artificial intelligence, specialized programming, advanced analytics, and machine learning to uncover the patterns, the hidden data, and the information inside an organization's data, which can later help them lead the strategic planning and business decision making.
Okay. And it sounds like there's some like really amazing capabilities or that you can do within, this data science discipline. It all sounds very complex, but I think you're here to show us that how Python actually makes this really accessible and a lot easier to do. So why is Python a great language for doing data science?
Well, Steve, there are multiple reasons. First of all, it's an open source platform. It has a large following. Python is being used widely in industrial circles as well as in academia. So there's an active and large community for Python. Secondly, it's highly portable and cross-platform. Developers can run their code anywhere on any machine without making any changes. The most important reason that Python is a great choice for data science is that it is very simple and it has an intuitive syntax that easier to read and easier to learn, and because it is a high level programming language, it is a really good choice for beginners when it comes to data science. And last but not the least, I believe it provides a lot of libraries for data analysis, data manipulations, data visualizations, machine learning, artificial intelligence, geospatial data visualization, you name it, and Python has it. For as an example, I would like to name a few very famous libraries of data science in Python, which are NumPy, Pandas, SciPy, and scikit-learn. So you can see that Python is easily the best choice for the beginners who want to embark on their journey for data science.
Hmm. Okay. And then there's also these things called Jupyter notebooks. So what's Jupyter and how do people use these notebooks with Python and these libraries?
Normally, developers tend to write code in files where they write the code, they compile it, and then later they execute it. But because Python is an interpreter based language, which means that you can write an instruction, you can just execute it right away to see if the instruction worked or not, or there were any errors. So Jupyter Notebook is Python's distribution where you tend to have code cells, you have markdown cells, and then you have output cells. So you can pretty much write your code, write your analysis with respect to the output you have received with respect to those code cells. So to start up with Jupyter Notebooks, you can use the Jupyter Notebook plugin in Visual Studio. You can also use the Python IDE, which is PyCharm, and last but not least, you can install any distribution of Python, such as Anaconda, and then through the system's terminal, you can initiate a Jupyter Notebook, which will later run on your local host, and you can write your code down there.
So how do we get started with Jupyter? I think, you've pulled this up here, and to, before we kind of like get started with doing some basic data analysis, can you take us through like these import statements and like these first lines of code that you've created in this notebook?
Yeah, so here is my Jupyter Notebook, and you can see that I have saved this notebook using the extension .ipynb, stands for IPython notebook. So essentially, I am right here using a Visual Studio plugin for Jupyter Notebook, and I have also installed Anaconda distribution in my system to execute the Python codes. So it's just starting off with a really simple code which we are going to discuss. We have imported some libraries, as I mentioned earlier, that Python gives us some powerful libraries. So here we have pandas that will help us read the entire data set into a data frame, and we have then NumPy, which is related to numeric manipulations. Then there you see matplotlib, which helps us plotting the visualizations of our data. And then there is Seaborn, which is an extension of matplotlib and provides some advanced visualizations. So here I have just read a very simple and free data set which is easily available over the internet with the name adult data set. And this is basically a small snippet of US Census data, and it holds some information about the adults, their education level, their marital status. You can see, by the way, that I have displayed the data set over here using the function head, and you can see that there is some age of adults, their work classes, their weight, education, number of years they have been to schools or universities, their marital status, occupation, relationship, and so on. So this is how you write very simple code in Jupyter Notebook. And let me just execute it for you, and let's do some little manipulations. So previously I was telling Python to display first 10 rows. Now it is up to Python how many rows it shows. So here you go. It just took 2.2 seconds to run this code. It imported all these libraries. It read this data. By the way, I have already downloaded this data in my system, and I have just read this data from the same directory my code file is placed in. And here I have displayed some initial rows of our data set.
Okay, great. So this is we got the basics where we've imported the right Python libraries and we've opened this data set, and we're showing like the first like the top rows. What else can we do? So it's like how do we start unleashing the power of Python and data science? So, what kind of analysis can we do on this data?
So you see that there are a lot of attributes in this data. So there is one of the attribute here is gender. So basically this is adults data, and we see that there are male and females labels in this gender attribute. So how about see that what percentage of our adults in this data set is male or female. So I have already wrote this code, and it has basically displayed me a simple pie chart which is easier to read, and I can readily see that the percentage of males in this population in this data set is 60, approximately 67%, while for female it's approximately 33%.
Can you step us through what you're doing line by line there?
Yeah, of course, why not? So I have actually read my data set in the variable called data, right? So what is the data type of this variable data? It's a data frame. Data frame is basically a two-dimensional, you can say, array to hold the data. So basically I wanted to see the percentage of gender involved in this data set. So what I'm doing over here is to just take this data column, the column labeled by gender, and I am counting the values, right? So I am essentially counting the values of both genders. You can say that I am actually counting how many males and how many females are there in my data set, and then I am converting that count into a data frame. So if we just rerun this code over here, and we can see that we have some counts and we have some columns over here and we have some rows over here stating how many males and how many females are there. So what I am interested to plot right now is this count column, and for this count column my labels will be males and females. So in this pie chart, you see that this chunk of the pie chart is not attached to the rest of the pie chart, right? So this is a utility of pie chart visualization in Matplotlib that lets us explode one chunk of that pie chart from the rest of the pie chart. So I have actually used this explode functionality, and I have defined my labels, which are male and female, and then I have set this figure and I am using plt.subplots. And if you can remember, when I initially started this Jupyter Notebook, I imported a library called matplotlib as plt, right? So now ax.py is a function which is taking different variables and it's going to render this plot. And what it is taking the column count that we have actually calculated earlier. It will set the explode variable to what I have defined earlier. It will set the labels to the labels I have defined. It is going to take the input format of the numerics, the percentage labels that I'm going to use in my pie chart. And here you can see there is some shadow of in the pie chart. It's give us some hint of like it is displayed as 3D. So for that matter, I have set the shadow variable to true, and then there is going to be some start angle from where you want to start plotting your data set. In the pie chart, the angle orientation. So this entire function, the pie function, is going to plot this entire pie chart, this circular thing, and along with this attributes of percentage and labels. Now I want to add some legend to my plot, and I want to set some title. So I have used the function set title, and I have given my proposed title as a string. I have used this legend function and I have told it to use the labels which I have set earlier to males and females as legend. And now I am using this functionality plt.show to essentially show my pie chart over here.
Okay. Well, thanks, Jareem. I think we just looked at the tip of the iceberg as far as like the power of Python for data science. But I think this is a great introduction just to like how to get started with the basics and to start exploring with Python and Jupyter. So I want to say thanks, and we'll also have some subsequent videos onto some more complex topics around data science and how to prep data, do some deeper data analysis, and perhaps even like statistical analysis, and perhaps some more advanced data visualizations with more chart types, but then also like some of the cool things that you can do with geospatial libraries and geospatial visualization on maps. So thanks, Jareem, and look forward to exploring that further with you.
Thank you, Steve, for having me here and giving me a chance to discuss the basics of data science with Python and helping the beginners understand how and what they can do with the this data science thing using Python and how Python can help them start their careers in data science. So thank you very much. Excited to be on more of the videos.
If you enjoyed this video, help us out by liking and subscribing, and tell us in the comments if you want us to explore any other languages or topics. Come visit us at educative.io, where we have over 600 courses spanning programming languages, web development, data science, and system design and interview prep that provide pre-built dev environments that let you code directly in the browser so you don't have to configure anything. Thanks for listening, and maybe check out one of these videos next. Thanks.